All right, Steelers fans, it is time for the All Betz Are Off segment with Jeremy Jerome Betz. We're previewing this upcoming Week 11 game. Jeremy, what's going on?
Man, I'm ready to do it. Hopefully we get a rebound against the Bengals. Need it.
They need it. And I do want to bring something up. On Twitter, I saw that you you put something out. I want to say this was after Thursday Night Football, maybe, and you screenshotted the schedule. And you had, you used your little finger with the green wins and the red L's, and you said bookmark it. Yep. Well, it hasn't really played out the way that you thought it would. What's your take on the last 4 games for the Steelers?
Well, a lot of people bookmarked it, Jeff. So I've been hearing about it every week, and it has absolutely gone opposite of what I predicted. So I guess what I would say is that this team continues to befuddle me. I cannot put a finger on what they are, who they want to be, their ceiling, their floor. I just can't put a finger on it this year, and I think it all washes out to it's the same old Steelers once again this year. And I guess we'll see how it plays out, but that's just kind of how I feel at this point. I wrote a big piece last week for SteelCurtainNetwork.com. I was like, it's time to buy into this team again. It's time to buy into what the offense has been doing. It's time to buy into that win over the Indianapolis Colts, and then they go and lay a stinker like they did on Sunday night against the Chargers, and it's hard to defend what's going on. So I just kind of feel lost in space here a little bit with this team.
Well, I guess if you're trying to, without giving away a prediction or anything, like what trajectory do you see this team going down, or are you in that space where literally you have no clue?
Well, I think it's a Twilight Zone team. It's like the margin between good and bad, and they ride that line every year, it seems like, for the last several seasons, and I think they're just doing it again. So I kind of end up in the same place as I have the last few years at the end of the season. I just think I'm ready to accept it until I see something different at this point mid-season. So for me, it's more about like that the offense cannot seem to get out of its own way in certain situations. And the team as a whole, now more specifically, the onus is on the offense to catch up with the defense because the defense has been playing better, but neither side complements the other when the other's playing well. And it just kind of is a frustrating pattern to watch.
All right, so let's back it up a little bit and let's talk about this week. The Steelers made some moves. Yep. They bring in Asante Samuel Jr. That was on Tuesday, not on Wednesday, like Jeremy Fowler reported. So I wasn't ready for a decision to be made, yet there he is signing with the practice squad. They also get Sebastian Castro back. I'm curious your take with these 2 defensive backs. You like it? Is it moved the needle much for you? Are you still kind of skeptical with how the Steelers are going to use them? What's your take?
Well, utilization is always a little bit of skepticism. I have a little bit of skepticism with that. But I do think that the moves are just fine. Like when you talk about taking a low risk move that has a potentially high reward payout, Asante Samuel Jr. is that guy. We've seen him put together a Pro Bowl season in the past. He's taken the football away. He's explosive, or splashy, I should say, on the defensive side of the ball. Makes plays, good vision, can do a little bit of everything at corner. So I think it was absolutely the right kind of move and very much in line with what we've seen from Omar Khan in his tenure as the Steelers general manager. Not going to spend a lot, but what they do spend is going to have the chance to reward the team very well. I think that this helps, along with bringing Castro back and Jabril Peppers getting healthy, which is kind of where it's signaling at this point, that it helps you move your biggest chess piece in the secondary, Jalen Ramsey, around a little bit more, where you like him down in the slot near the line of scrimmage, in the box as a safety, gives you more flexibility there. So I like both moves very much.
So let's now, I have to ask you a question. Do you think either of the 2 high-profile practice squad players, we're talking Marquez Valdes-Scantling, MVS, and Asante Samuel Jr., do you think either of those players are promoted in Week 11 against the Bengals?
I think ASJ will be for sure. MVS, I have a little bit harder time seeing because they have guys in place that they seem bullish on just trying to get as many opportunities this year. I think if both guys do come up, I I think they should come up. Let me just give my opinion there. I think you should bring both guys up this week and see what they can do for you. But if I had to pick one or the other for what the Steelers are going to do or predict what the Steelers are going to do, I think that they'll probably elevate Asante Samuel Jr. And I just don't know about MVS. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with him necessarily, other than to maybe spread things out a little bit. But even still, the compliment that you need to DK Metcalf is somebody who can kind of just get open. And I don't see MVS as the answer to that.
Well, I think that MVS, his job is going to be, if you want to put two receivers out there that are similar in types of the type of receiver that they are, they're big bodied, they're straight line speed guys.
Field, yep.
If you got to have, they can't double everyone. And if they do, a tight end should be wide open.
Yeah,
with the matchup. I don't know. There's always been a part of me that looked at the Chicago game and thought that might be the game that MVS gets skyrocketed up on game day. And I felt like they also had an opportunity with Scotty Miller dealing with his finger injury. Now he's fully healthy and back, and he's back to practicing fully. I felt like they had an opportunity. If they wanted to put him on injured reserve, they could have promoted MVS, and then they could have kept Miller on injured reserve, even if he was healthy, and then they could have activated him and stuff like that. I don't know. Do you think that MVS could have a role on this team, or is he just insurance in case DK Metcalf gets hurt?
Well, I do think he's insurance, but I think he could have a role on the team. I think, as we know, Arthur Smith loves to mix up the packages of receivers that he has on the field at any given time. I think if you can get somebody to kind of take the straight line vertical downfield, play that like the sacrifice. I hear it said the sacrificial X receiver, where it's just a big, tall guy who just goes straight down the field and takes the safety with him. Maybe he can have that type of role where you can't let him get behind you. You don't want to let him get behind you. You prefer to put the double team on DK Metcalf, but you can't let other guys just get behind you. And he can do that with regularity enough to where maybe that opens things up a little bit more for DK Metcalf. But I would expect returns on that investment to be about as minimal as what they put into it.
All right. What about Sebastian Castro? Undrafted out of Iowa, spends all preseason training camp with the Steelers, even was on the practice squad to start the year, gets poached from Tampa Bay. Now he's back. Anything outside of special teams in terms of expectations for him? Not really.
I kind of sit back and I say that the Jabril Peppers getting healthy, I think is the reason you can let go of Juan Thornhill. I don't think you're letting go of Juan Thornhill because you got Sebastian Castro back, right? So undrafted free agent, hasn't played it down yet really on defense. I do think special teams he'll have a role. Actually, he might have played a little bit on defense for Pittsburgh early in the season. I can't remember though. The Bucs snatched him pretty quickly. But I'm excited to have him back. I think if you've got a guy like Juan Thornhill that you've basically seen what he's going to give you, and it's not very good, then move on from him and go with the guy that has maybe higher upside, but you're just not sure about yet, especially as you're getting some other guys healthy in that room.
And that's something I'm glad you said that, because I said this in an article at steelcurtainnetwork.com not too long ago. I never saw this for being okay, we have Sebastian Castro, now we cut Juan Thornhill. It's not a 1-for-1. Well, we got him to fill his spot. No, you have Kyle Duggar. You like what he's doing.
Yeah.
You have Jalen Ramsey, who's basically been entrenched as the safety unless Deshaun Elliott has some miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
And so once Jabril Peppers, as you mentioned, gets healthy, he's been a full participant all week. Why do we need Juan Thornhill? Yeah. You just don't. And so I think, and I thought it was telling when they were playing Chuck Clark over Juan Thornhill. That was like a very damning statement, because Chuck Clark is not some elite safety or in any way, shape, or form. But all right, let's take a look at this upcoming game, because we're going to give our predictions here in a second. But this game, the Steelers are 5-4. You got the Ravens breathing down their neck, and the Bengals are just looking for a pulse. They are struggling. They're coming off a bye. Joe Burrow's back at practice. Everyone's talking in Cincinnati. Obviously, if you listen to Tim Lyons on my podcast on Wednesday, he said, look, we're just seeing if it can make sense that Joe Burrow even comes back.
Yeah.
This is a game where on paper it's a get-right game for Pittsburgh. Maybe not defensively, but offensively it is. What do you think about this upcoming game in Week 11 in Pittsburgh?
Well, I think it is a get-right game, and it needs to be one. Like for this Steelers offense, for the confidence for the fan base, for the team itself, I think they need to go out and have a big game against the Bengals defense. Everybody else is doing it. You need to be able to do it too. You've done it once already, so keep it rolling, right? Let's not overthink this. You know, Jeff, watching back that Bengals game or watching it live even, Jaylen Warren and the run game were having their way with Cincinnati. I think you lean into that again this week, and I think that the big plays in the passing game are just going to be there. As an aside, anecdotally, start Pat Freiermuth this week in fantasy because this guy goes off against the Bengals every time they play. 2 touchdowns last time they played, and I think he had 2 touchdowns against them last year as well. So, but I would say that the Steelers offense needs this game to get right, and they better come out and perform. Defensively, though, I would say with Jalen Ramsey playing safety and the Steelers probably learning in that Cincinnati game that they can't just line up Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay man-to-man on these types of receivers and get away with it. They're going to have to mix and match coverages a little bit better. Jalen Ramsey playing safety, mixing personnel back there. I think it's going to play into the Steelers' favor a little bit because it's not going to look exactly the same. They're going to make Joe Flacco hold the football a little bit longer this time, I think, and that will help the pass rush. And he does not have the mobility of a Justin Herbert, which beat him a couple times last week.
No, he does not. And he does have that shoulder injury. Keep that in mind. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's been limited, but it's because he's an old quarterback. No, he had that shoulder injury a couple weeks ago, and that is definitely what is keeping him hampered a little bit. Let's take a look at some AFC North. This is actually an interesting week. They do this all the time where they have AFC North matchup. So there's only 2 games to talk about: Steelers, Bengals, and then Ravens at Browns. So there you go. Let's talk about the first the game at Ravens at Browns. The Ravens are giving 7.5 points. Well, Lamar Jackson missed Wednesday's practice with some knee soreness. He was back there Thursday. 7.5 with a total of 38.5 points. Baltimore does not play well in Cleveland. I'm just going to say that. But what do you think about this game?
Well, I was going to kind of mention that they don't play well in Cleveland, and it's been several years now since the Baltimore Ravens, no matter how good they've been, have swept the Cleveland Browns in a season. It's kind of been that way for all the teams in the division. The Browns typically get theirs at home against their division rivals right now, where that defense plays a lot better. This game's going to be close, I have a feeling, and I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland does some, crazy Green Bay crap again, right? Where they're at home, the defense gets to fly around. The Myles Garrett versus Lamar Jackson part of this is going to be fun because that Baltimore Ravens offensive line isn't one of the better units in the league. They're kind of just like in the middle of the pack, maybe towards the back of the middle of the pack. So if that pass rush gets after things and make things uncomfortable for Lamar, I think that this could be a low scoring, tight affair. And I think that the Browns will be game. In the end, I think the Baltimore Ravens win. I'm kind of riding with their hot streak right now, though.
I don't think the Ravens win by 7.5, though.
No, not at all.
I'm taking the Browns and the points for sure. And the Ravens just are not running the ball well. I think that's the biggest surprise to me. And normally, if they're not running it well with their running backs, even if you go back to the days of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, it was Lamar Jackson using his legs to kind of buoy those numbers. And they're not even getting that really. So it's really interesting. It's going to be a fun game to watch. That's a 4:25 Eastern time kickoff, folks. So after the Steelers are done, we can switch over and watch the Ravens and Browns. If you like to punish yourself, you can watch that game.
Or turn on Red Zone, just get glimpses of them every night.
Or if you're a Sunday ticket guy like I am, you will just have that as part of like 4 games that you just keep tabs on.
Exactly.
So the game
Jeff,
that
let me ask you this. Do you have 4 games on the TV when the Steelers are playing?
No,
well?
hell no.
Okay.
Hell no. No, I when the Steelers are playing, I have to be focused on just that game.
Yeah.
And I don't want to watch other games when the Steelers are playing. And I know you're a Red Zone guy, and you're like, oh, I've got Red Zone and the Steelers. Like, I don't want to be distracted. Like when you talk about this team and you cover this team and you write about this team the most, like I can't miss anything.
Yeah.
I would feel I feel like an idiot if I'm like, oh yeah, like what a play. And someone's like, yeah, that wasn't that guy. It was someone else. And you feel like an idiot. But anyways,
track it hard.
All right. So 1:00, Steelers host the Bengals. The Steelers are giving 5.5 points with a total of 49.5. Now, this line has been trending in a strong way. It started with 3.5, Pittsburgh giving 3.5, then it went to 4.5. Now it's at 5.5. That tells you where the money's going. People are putting the money on the Steelers. They're trying to get money back on the Bengals. What do you think about this game? What's your prediction?
I think the Steelers lean into the get right game mentality here. I think they want a get back at the Bengals for what they did to them on Thursday Night Football. Mike Tomlin for sure does. And when that type of attitude permeates the locker room, I think they end up playing better because of it. I honestly think too, Jeff, playing at 1 o'clock better suits this team than playing a night game. I just do. I think the energy is a little bit different. They're going to be at home. The Stone Age pony who has an injury is going to be back there in Joe Flacco. And the Steelers aren't going to try to man up this thing like they did in their last matchup. I don't think. If they do, that's just silly to me. I can't imagine why you would come in with the same exact game plan. So with a few change-ups there, I like the Steelers. I kind of like the Steelers to cover here too, personally. Now, will this get me back on board with this team's like long-term potential this season? I don't think so. But I do think that they probably win this game. And one unique note I have on this that I saw from Matt Williamson, the Steelers have the highest projected total of the week per Vegas odds at 27.5 of any team in the NFL. And that tells me a lot about the expectations for the Cincinnati Bengals defense on the road.
So what's your score prediction?
My score prediction is going to be Steelers 34, Bengals 27.
Interesting. Okay, so you're way on the over, and you like the Steelers to put up some points. I do too. I think this line, again, it's screaming that they want people to take the Bengals. They think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Steelers cover, but not by much. I've got the Steelers winning 30-24. And so I think that they get to that 30-point plateau. It's going to be close. I don't know if it's as back and forth as the game was on Thursday Night Football. I'm not sure if it's that, but still, I like the Steelers to win. I think they're going to have to. This is a must-win game, in my opinion, when you look at the schedule and how it breaks down for Baltimore, how it breaks down for Pittsburgh, and that really the AFC North champion is going to be the only playoff representative, most likely, in the AFC playoff picture. So I think this is a must-win. I think they get it. But Jeremy, any other thoughts on the game?
Well, I do think as the season goes on and this race continues to tighten, one thing to watch for, Steelers play the Ravens in week 18, right? Yes. What did we just talk about with the night game stuff? If this game is a division decider, it's going to be the Sunday night game, most likely that week, unless there's another more marquee matchup, maybe Rams, Seahawks or something like that for that division. But so Steelers fans, we need to wrap this up before that game, I think, to feel good about ourselves. But I just don't know how that's going to go. So that's just, again, just another aside from me, if you will. But about this game, I think that if the Steelers want to consider themselves a team that can contend down the stretch and stay in the race in this division, you do have to beat a Bengals team that just bleeds yards and points on defense, and that has one of the oldest quarterbacks in the league that hasn't played well everywhere else outside of his stop in Cincinnati for 1 or 2 weeks against defenses that were struggling at the time. So the Steelers need to win this game.
Now, you're 10 years younger than me, and I think you just had a birthday, so happy belated birthday.
Yes, thank you.
I can say that Aaron Rodgers is the same age as me. Now, he was born almost 10 months after. I was born in February. He was born in December. But I can tell you that as a 42-year-old man, at 8:20 p.m. Eastern time, I feel different than 1 p.m. Eastern time.
And I can tell you that as a 32-year-old.
I mean, so you could talk about like people want to say this stuff, but it does matter. And so when you're asking a guy that is at the very end of his athletic peak in terms of being a quarterback in the National Football League, it's tough. Like, it's not easy to do. And so I don't know. Let's just hope they don't have a lot. I know they have a primetime game left against Miami, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe they'll make some changes, but still. All right, Jeremy, I want to give you an opportunity to give an update on anything that you want to, or what's coming up for you.
Yeah, so rest of this week, we've got the Steelers Q&A on Saturday, previewing the game. It'll be a lot of fun. Check out the Draft Dynasty podcast. We went through and power ranked the teams in a draft style on Thursday, so check that out. It was a lot of fun there. Follow me on X at @thebets93 and stay tuned.
All right, Jeremy, thanks for your time, man. We'll take it easy. We'll talk.
Have a good one, Jeff.